are we on? All right, perfect. Hey, you guys, welcome. It's Sandy Reese. It is time for another little micro lesson, and I'm really excited that you're here. So today's lesson is part of the Fundraising Breakthrough Workshop that's happening this week. And if you haven't signed up for that, you probably want to go do that. We've got some great lessons that are being delivered by on-demand video, and it's all happening over at getfullyfunded.com/breakthrough. And once you sign up there, you're going to get instant access to the current videos so that you can go back and watch the ones we've already released. You can watch the ones that are upcoming. You'll get notifications about more Facebook Live like this. And I think you're going to really enjoy it. People are absolutely loving this workshop, and they're telling us, they're leaving me comments on Facebook and on the video page, and people are emailing me and they're telling me how much they're enjoying this. So I don't want you to miss out on that. getfullyfunded.com/breakthrough. Okay, the whole point of the workshop is to teach you an easier, simpler way for donor-based fundraising. Now, I know a lot of people try to do fundraising through things that we call nickel and dime fundraising. They're just little bits, it's little dribs and drabs, and it just doesn't work to bring in the money you need to fully fund your organization. So this workshop is designed to give you some ideas about how to get started with that, especially as we're moving into fundraising season. This time between September, October, November, December, like this is the big time of year for you to be raising money. And if you don't have some things all buttoned up and nailed down, this is going to be hard. So that's the whole point of our video workshop. Okay, today we're going to be talking about broken funding models. I work with a lot of new organizations and really small organizations, and I've seen all of this stuff. And what I want to do is go through each one of these. I've got them on the board covered by a little pink sticky, and we'll be pulling those pink stickies off today. I want to explain what each one of these is in the hopes that you can completely avoid them because they just don't work. They don't bring in enough money. So let's imagine for a minute that this bucket is is your bank account and you need money. Well, a lot of these funding models are doing this. It's just dripping in one at a time when what you really need is you need a whole lot more money coming in. So let's get you away from the stuff that doesn't work. All right, let's jump right into broken funding model number one, and that is self-pay. I see a lot of founders of organizations try to do this. They think, I'll just pay for this out of my pocket, and I guess some people can do that, but unless you're independently wealthy, this is not sustainable long term. For most people who have started a nonprofit, you need something other than self-pay. Now, are you going to pay out of your pocket occasionally for something? I don't know, you might. You probably would, because I know you. You're very generous, you're very tender-hearted, and when there's an issue that pops up, there's a need that shows up, you're the kind of person that you want to fix it. And if it's not in the budget, then you're going to probably pay for it yourself. And I get that. All right, so the problem with self-pay, though, again, unless you've got a lot of money, this is going to be tough to sustain long term. So don't try to do that. We need to get you started into some other things that work in fundraising. I'll talk about that in just a minute, so that you're raising the kind of money that you need. Okay, broken funding model number two is what we call sole source funding. This is where you have one stream of income that you're trying to live off of. So for a lot of our animal welfare clients, they are trying to live on adoption fees. They've got money coming in from maybe a spay-neuter clinic, but mostly it's the adoption fees, and they're trying to live off that. Or I've seen organizations have one big grant from the state that they're in, and they try to live off that one grant. And the problem with that, I'm actually going to talk more about grants in a minute. The problem with that, and I've seen this twice in the last 15 years, when an organization is living off that grant from the state, if the state cuts their budget, that grant money starts to shrink or it can completely go away. We had a client several years ago that lost a $750,000 grant. They had gotten very comfortable. They were living on that grant. Didn't occur to anybody. They need to be doing some other fundraising, and so it just about killed them. It was very difficult. So got to be real careful with that. You don't want to live off of a single source of revenue. You want to have diversified revenue. So you want money coming in from lots of different places, because that is what supports your organization. Sole source funding is like sitting on a one-legged stool. It will fall over. It's just a matter of when. So let's get you onto something that's much more stable. All right, broken funding model number 3 is events. Oh, this is not my favorite at all. This is where your organization is going from little event to little event to little event, and you know what I'm talking about. There's always a fundraiser. There's always an event. You're going from Buffalo Wild Wings night to the spaghetti dinner to selling coupons, selling candy bars, selling whatever. And this stuff is not sustainable long term. Anytime you're selling stuff, it's actually not fundraising. You're in sales and people are shopping. And yeah, they might buy your t-shirt because they like your organization. You're not going to raise enough money off of t-shirt sales to pay for all the stuff you need to pay for. You've got overhead and salaries and program supplies and all kinds of stuff you need to pay for. You're not going to do that off of little events. And in fact, little events are exhausting for you, they're exhausting for your volunteers, they're exhausting for the community, so you don't want to be on that special event hamster wheel. All right, broken funding model number 4 is grants. Now, I love grants. I've gotten a lot of money over the years from grants, but here's the deal. You don't want to try to fully fund your organization through grants because it's going to be difficult to do, if not impossible. Grants have their place. Grants are fantastic for helping with specific projects, specific program needs, equipment. Sometimes you can find grants for startup funds for a program. But finding a foundation that wants to fund your program in the same way year after year after year is like looking for a unicorn. It is very difficult to find. So don't try. And we have people call here every week saying, I just need help getting grants, and they don't have a clue what they're asking. They've heard of grants before, and they think, well, we ought to be able to get all that we can. Now, I do think you ought to know what grants are out there for you. You ought to do the research and see what grants are a good fit for your organization, and you ought to go after everything that is a good fit. But having a list of 10 grants doesn't mean you're going to get 10 grants. It's difficult to project. And in fact, when I'm budgeting revenue, I budget it very conservatively because you just don't know what you're going to get. I was talking with our resident grant writer yesterday, and we were talking about how she's had 2 or 3 grant opportunities here in the last few weeks that she thought, man, these were a great fit. This should have worked. And they were turned down. You just never know. It's not anything you can control, and that's why this is not a good funding model. Now, should you go after grants? Yes. Grants should be a part of an overall healthy fundraising plan. It should be one part. It should not be the only thing that you try to do. Okay, let's look at broken funding model number 5, and that is crowdfunding. A lot of people think, hey, we'll just go post on GoFundMe and we'll be able to raise all the money that we need. It doesn't work that way. Crowdfunding can be very interesting. It can be profitable for organizations. But the deal is, when you post on a crowdfunding site, you still have to drive traffic. You still have to encourage people to go to that site to give, and you have to give them a good reason to give. And if you've been doing a great job of building relationships, people will do that. They will go. They'll go to that site and they'll give. This is why a lot of our clients do really well with Giving Tuesday. They can go online, make their donation, they can set up their Giving Tuesday platform, encourage their folks to go online, and because they're taking really good care of their donors during the rest of the year, Giving Tuesday works for them. If you just show up and you think, oh, well, it's Giving Tuesday, let me post something and the money will flood in, it doesn't work that way. Fundraising is about the relationship. It's about what you're doing when you're not asking for money. That's really the key to raising all the money that you need. It's about thinking about the donors when they're not thinking about you. All right, I think that we had put in the email that we had 5 broken funding models and actually had 6, so this one's going to be a bonus. Number 6 is hope. Listen, hope is a good thing, but hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a funding model. You don't want to just put a bunch of stuff out there and then say, well, I hope this works. I hope people will fund us. I hope. You want to have hope. You want to go into everything with positive, hopeful expectation, but you also have to do the practical side of planning and being prepared, having your numbers all ready, having a message that's going to resonate with folks. Hope is not a strategy. Be hopeful, but don't depend on hope. What you need, instead of these broken funding models, you need a really solid overall fundraising plan that has multiple revenue streams where you're bringing money in from a lot of different sources. You may have money coming in from appeals, from one signature event, not a bunch of little events, but one big event that you do. You put everything you've got into it. You hit it out of the park. People love it. They talk about it forever. One event. So you want to have maybe some monthly donors, major donors, some online giving. There could be a lot of different ways that you set up to bring in revenue, and not just one of these. All right, so I would love to hear what you think. Go ahead and drop your question or comment in down below, and I'm going to be really curious to hear what you think. If you've got a question, go ahead and type that in, and I'm going to be handed my giant tablet here. Okay. So if you've got a question, you can add that in. And the question can be about what we talked about today, or it could be about one of the videos in the Fundraising Breakthrough Workshop. And I did have a question that was emailed to me that I thought I would answer. So in video number 2 of the Fundraising Breakthrough Workshop, we talk about how to ask with a real specific technique that I call core number. Your core number is an expression of what it costs you to deliver a unit of service. And so someone had emailed me and said, this is a little hard for me to figure out core number. So a core number for like, let's say a soup kitchen, that's pretty easy. It's one meal for one person. And that's pretty much all they do. So that's pretty easy to calculate. You look at the total units of service and the total expenses, you divide it out, and it tells you how much it costs you to deliver a unit of service. So this organization, and a lot of organizations are like this. A lot of organizations say, well, we have a lot of different programs, and I'm not really sure how to pull this all together. So this organization does, they do education for people about using harnesses on dogs in cars. So if you have an accident, the dog is safe and secure, almost like a seatbelt for a dog. So they do a lot of education. They exhibit at different trade shows and events, and they have events where they're specifically trying to teach people about this. So she was like, I'm really confused. Is it every time that we go out and exhibit? Is it every time we sell a harness? Like, what is it? And I think in a situation like that, you have to take a step back and look at the commonality among everything you do. And the commonality in this organization is that they're educating people. And it doesn't matter where they meet them, if it's a trade show or an event where they meet them, or if it's an event that they sponsor and people come. It doesn't matter, because the bottom line is they're trying to educate people about the need for car harnesses for dogs. So once I was able to help her figure that out, then she got it, and she was able to divide that number out. So I just wanted to share that, because I know that a lot of people get real confused about unit of service. So sometimes, again, you have to just take a step back and say, what are all our programs have in common? And it might be an hour of education for a person. It might be an hour of counseling. I've actually used that one before. It could be, it could be a lot of different things. But if you struggle with it, you can type in your question here in Facebook, and I'll be happy to answer that. Okay, looks like we got a couple of questions that are coming in. So let me see what we've got. It's so weird to see me. There I am, live on Facebook. There we go. Okay, Sue is asking, any advice on what type of large events are the most effective? I think it's really interesting. I have seen all kinds of events be really successful. So it's not the type of event, it's whether or not that event aligns with your mission, whether or not that event happens in your area, somebody else is doing the same kind of event, and it depends on how much energy you put behind that event. So having said that, I have seen golf tournaments, which normally golf tournaments don't really generate a lot of money, but I've seen an organization do $500,000 on a golf tournament. I've seen organizations do incredibly well with 5Ks and walks. I've seen six-figure walks. So I don't think it's really necessarily like, oh, you should go out and do this kind of event. I think it's about finding the event that aligns with your mission. Nobody else in your community is doing it. People can get excited about it. You're excited about it. And really, it's about putting a committee in place and going after sponsors, because that's where you make the most money on any kind of an event. Yeah, there's a ton of articles on my blog about events and committees behind the event, and I'll tell you from my own experience, that is where the magic happens with a big event. It's not like, oh, well, you need to do a Dancing with the Stars kind of an event, which actually can be fun and it can be very profitable, but really it's about building that event, giving it time to take root and grow. It's about having the right people working on it. It's about getting the right people in the room. It's about having the right silent auction items. There's just a lot that goes into it. But thank you for asking that question, Sue. Okay, so I don't want to keep you terribly long. If you do have a question, go ahead and type that in. Otherwise, let me tell you about what's coming up next. I like doing these Facebook Lives because it's like a little micro lesson that you can get in the in-between of the Fundraising Breakthrough Workshop. So we've already done video 1 and 2. If you haven't signed up already, go to getfullyfunded.com/breakthrough, and you'll immediately find video 1 where we talk about building your donor base and how to target the right people. In video 2, we talk about messaging. So you can't just say, oh, we're a 501c3. That doesn't work, and I'll explain more about core number in that one. So what's coming next? Tomorrow we're going to release video number 3. And video number 3 is all about timing and knowing when is the right time to ask for money. The answer might surprise you, so you may want to make sure you tune in for that one. Thursday, we're going to be back here with another Facebook Live, and I'm going to be talking about big mistakes that small nonprofits make in raising money. You're going to want to be here for that one. I've got some great stuff to share with you. You might be either making some of those mistakes or about to make those mistakes, and I want to catch that if we can so that you can avoid the pain and suffering of making those mistakes. Then Friday, we have video number 4 that will be released, and that is going to be a really good one. Video 4 talks about the path between where you are and crossing the line into fully funding your organization. Yes, your organization can be fully funded. That's what we teach here. And what that means is you have all the money you need to cover all the costs of your organization. You're fully staffed. You have all the equipment that you need. You even have a rainy day fund. That's what it means to be fully funded, to get your organization fully funded. And in Friday's video, I'm going to show you how that happens. Then we actually have a bonus on Sunday evening. You're going to have the opportunity to come and join a conversation with me. We're going to do a webinar that's kind of a webinar and kind of not really a webinar, where we're going to talk about path to success and what that looks like. And I'm going to share some stories with you of my own path to success and from some of my clients, their path to success, so that you can see what that takes to get from where you are right now to cross that line into getting fully funded. And that's coming up Sunday. If you sign up for the Fundraising Breakthrough Workshop, you're going to get access to all of this. We're basically going to email you every time that something is ready or we're getting something available to you. So be sure and sign up, getfullyfunded.com/breakthrough. Okay, let me just see if there's anything else. Looks like we're good. All right. The whole point of doing this, and let me just say, I love doing this. I love sharing information with you. I love sharing this kind of stuff and helping you see a different way or a better way to raise money. My wish for you is for you to gain the skill and the knowledge so that you can put in motion the plan that's going to generate the revenue that you need. Because when that happens, you're going to be able to change more lives. And we become together like a stone in a pond, and we have a ripple effect. I can help you, you're helping lots of others, and together, sounds kind of corny, but together we are literally changing the world, which is a really, really cool thought. That's my wish for you. I want you to learn how to raise the money you need so you can stop the struggle, stop the sleepless nights, stop throwing the spaghetti at the wall, trying to figure out something that will work, and raise the money that you need. All right, that is it for today. I know you've got other stuff you need to be doing. Drop a comment in and tell me what you think about this. Did you learn something? Are any of these broken funding models something that maybe you have used in the past or you need to stop doing? Perfectly okay if you want to come forward and own that. I will honor you if you're willing to own something that you're doing now. All right, that's it. Come join us, and I'll see you tomorrow for free video number 3 in the Fundraising Breakthrough Workshop. All right, bye, everybody.